want to start today by saying something that I mean completely. It is never too late to come into your own. I'm Dr. Jen Bradley. I'm a licensed psychologist, and I created After the Noise for women on GLP-1 journeys, because this journey asks so much more of you than anyone prepares you for. And today, I want to talk about something that sits underneath almost every struggle I see in the women I work with, something that doesn't get named nearly enough. It's called self-prioritization. And I want to be careful with that word because I know what it probably sounds like to you. It probably sounds like one more thing you're supposed to be doing, one more area where you're falling short. That's not what this is. Stay with me. I want to tell you about a woman I worked with. I'll call her Sarah. Sarah was in her early 50s, accomplished, capable, deeply caring. She had spent decades holding her family together, showing up for everyone around her, managing things that would exhaust most people. And she was good at it. She had been told her whole life that she was good at it. When she started her GLP-1 journey, she knew all the right things to do. More protein, more sleep, more movement, less stress. She knew. She had read everything. And she still couldn't make herself do it consistently. Not because she was lazy, not because she didn't care, but because every time she tried to carve out time for herself, something in her resisted. Something quiet and persistent that said, "This isn't your turn yet. Other people need things. You can get to yourself later." When I asked her where that voice came from, she got very still. And then she said, "I think I've been hearing it my whole life." That voice didn't come from nowhere. For most women, it was installed early, before we were old enough to question it. We watched the women around us eat last, rest last, matter last. We were praised for being helpful, accommodating, easy. We were told in 100 ways that didn't require words that the good version of us was the version that didn't ask for too much. And we were good students. We learned that lesson thoroughly. By the time most women come to me, in their 30s, their 40s, their 50s, even their 60s, that belief isn't something they consciously hold anymore. It just runs. It runs in the background of every decision they make about their time, their energy, their care. It runs so quietly that it doesn't feel like a belief. It feels like character. It feels like who they are. And here's the thing I most want you to hear today. Who you were taught to be and who you are not the same thing. That voice telling you your needs come last, it was never the truth about you. It was the truth about what you were taught. And what was taught can be unlearned. It takes time, and it takes practice, and it is absolutely possible. I want to talk for a minute about what we think it looks like to come into your own, because I think the image we carry of that woman, the one who has finally claimed herself, keeps a lot of us waiting. We picture her as fearless, certain, unapologetic. She never self-guesses herself. She doesn't flinch. And so we wait. We wait until we feel certain enough. We wait until the fear goes away. We wait until we feel ready. I want to tell you something from years of clinical experience. That version of her doesn't exist. The women I know who have genuinely come into their own are not fearless. They are not without doubt. They are not always certain or always at peace. There are women who learn to move forward anyway, to include themselves in the equation even when it feels uncomfortable, to say what they need even when their voice is unsteady, to choose themselves even when some part of them is still listening for permission they are never going to receive. Bold and confident are not the opposite of soft, uncertain, or afraid. They coexist with all of those things. What changes is not the absence of fear or doubt. What changes is what you do in their presence. So if you've been waiting to feel ready, you can stop waiting. Ready is not coming before you start. It comes after. I want to share something with you that I think you deserve to hear, even though it's a little uncomfortable. Women live longer than men. In the United States, the gap is roughly 5 to 6 years. Most of us know that, at least in the back of our minds. What we don't talk about nearly enough is what those extra years often look like. There is a difference between lifespan and health span. Lifespan is how long you live. Health span is how many of those years you spend in genuine health, with vitality, with mobility, with the cognitive sharpness and physical capacity to be present for your life and the people you love. For many women, those two numbers are not close together. The extra years that women live are often years of limited mobility, chronic illness, weakness, dependence. Not because of bad luck, because of decades of deferred care. The appointments that got pushed, the sleep that got sacrificed, the stress that never got addressed, the body that was always going to be the priority later when things slowed down. Things rarely slow down. I'm not telling you this to frighten you. I'm telling you because I think you deserve the honest picture. The years at the end of your life are being built right now, and the decisions you are making today about whether your health, your rest, your needs are worth protecting. Coming into your own is not indulgence. It's not selfishness. It is the most practical long-term investment you can make for yourself and for every person who loves you and wants you present and well. I want to speak directly to something I see in almost every woman navigating this journey. The women who struggle most are almost never struggling because they don't know what to do. They know what their body needs. The knowledge is not the gap. The gap is believing they deserve to do it. Because here is what I've learned after decades of clinical work. Self-prioritization is not a behavior. It is a belief. And behaviors that are not anchored in belief don't hold. Not when life gets hard, not when someone else needs something, not when that quiet voice says your turn comes later. What the GLP-1 journey does, if you let it, is surface that belief and make it impossible to ignore. The food noise quiets. The automatic comfort mechanism that was handling your stress and your loneliness and your exhaustion goes offline. And what remains is a question the medication was never designed to answer, but ends up asking anyway. Do I believe my well-being is worth protecting? Not in theory, not for other women, for you, specifically, today. If there is any hesitation in your answer, I want you to know that hesitation is not about you. It's about everything you were taught and how long you were taught it, and how rarely anyone said the opposite directly enough for it to land. So let me say it directly. You are allowed to come into your own. In your 30s, in your 40s, in your 50s, in your 60s. After decades of putting everyone else first. After years of believing that the asking itself was the problem. It was never too late. It is not too late now. I want to leave you with one question to carry into the week. Before you make a decision about your time, your energy, your body, your care, pause and ask yourself this. Have I included my own needs in this decision? Not have I put myself first. Not have I chosen myself over someone else. Simply, am I in the equation at all? That's it. One question, one pause. Practice it once this week and notice what comes up. If this resonated with you, I'd love for you to subscribe to After the Noise on Substack. That's where I go deeper every week and where the community conversation happens. The link is in the description. And if you found this video helpful, please share it with a woman in your life who needs to hear it, because I promise you, she's out there. She is probably someone you love, and she needs to know it is never too late. I'll see you next week.